Football Podcast, joined as always by Clinton Boring. My name is Ryan Satkoviak. We are officially, I guess, technically halfway through the college football regular season here, Clinton. I guess most teams now have 6 games played, so we can go ahead and say that. But it was another fantastic weekend, another weekend of big time matchups that lived up to the hype. And as always, we got some storylines that we were not ready for. Sir, how are you tonight?
I'm great, man. It was another great weekend. We're about to wrap up Pee Wee football. Last game Saturday. I don't remember, we scored 4 or 5 touchdowns today while we held the other team to no touchdowns. Our first shutout of the year. Pretty awesome. Great slate of football yesterday. That was probably for a college football day that I do with my buddies every year. That was probably the best college football day we've had in the 7 or 8 years I've been doing this. I mean, where do we even start? Do we start with UCLA raw dogging Michigan State? Do we start
I
with
don't like that you just
Northwestern?
said that. I don't like that one. I don't like that.
Northwestern gut punching Penn State and Franklin getting fired? Do we get Indiana outmanning the Ducks? The Trojans bludgeoning Michigan? There's likely going to be 2 more coaches to join Franklin getting fired before the season's over, Ryan. The Big Ten might be a big mess, but it's been a lot of fun so far. How are you tonight?
Bro, like I have a patient. I don't know how fucking old she is. She got a foot injury, so we were trying to do some like foot intrinsic work. It was a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, yeah, just take your boot off here. And she's like, "Would you want me to raw dog it?" I'm like, "Please do not ever say that to me again, please." And fucking Brad was standing right behind her, laughing his ass off, and I'm like, "Fuck me sideways." That's no okay. No, Clint, you know where we gotta start. I guess this technically isn't breaking if you are listening to the show live, and it most certainly will not be breaking if you listen to this on Monday morning, because the big news of the day was Penn State actually did it. They have fired James Franklin. There's no negotiated buyout. They're not waiting till the end of the season and mutually agreeing to part ways or hoping James Franklin takes a soft landing spot with another P4 program. They just pulled the plug, Clinton. All $56 million of buyout or whatever it ends up being based on where he's at in his contract. This comes on the heels of Penn State losing for the 3rd consecutive weekend. The 2nd consecutive weekend is a 20-point favorite, a 22-21 defeat at the hands of Northwestern. Clinton, I believe this was the first time since betting lines became publicly available that a team has lost as a 20-point favorite on back-to-back weekends in the history of the sport. And again, we're not talking about like the full history of college football, because point spreads didn't actually, well, maybe they did exist in the 1940s, and it's your backroom bookie at the pub who's running action for you. But I am shocked that they did it on the one hand, but on the other hand, this felt like it kind of had to happen because he's clearly lost the team. If he hasn't outright lost the team, he's outright lost the fan base and clearly the decision makers at Penn State as well.
I believe there was chanting of Fire Franklin just in the first half. Didn't even need to get to the end of the game. And listen, man, by the end of that game, the way he was standing there, if you remember how Ryan Day looked last year at the end of the Michigan game, just no words, looking at the state. That was Franklin, except a little less dramatic. Like Franklin, you could just, I guess not dramatic, but Franklin was looking at the field and he's just like, this is it. This is it. I'm not coming back out here for next week because
Well,
I'm
like
the host.
you knew it was bad too. Like it makes sense in hindsight now, but like Audrey Snyder tweeted out, she was like, it was kind of weird that he didn't even deflect my question about Drew Allar's injury. He just straight up said he's out for the season, which is the other news for Penn State. Drew Allar suffered looked like an ankle injury, a lower leg injury, I think they're officially calling it, on the second to last play of the game for Penn State. He was trying to scramble up the middle, got rolled up on, and James Franklin, his last official act, I guess, as Penn State head coach, was announcing that Drew Allar's college career is over unless he decides to sue someone to get extra eligibility. Since he's played 6 games now this season, he cannot redshirt. So that'll be it for Drew Allar in college.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, that's
So I
not the
know
way
I know we've been
you.
hard on him, but damn, you don't ever want to see a guy's career end like that.
No,
That
you don't want to
sucks.
see his college career end like that. And certainly from a Penn State perspective, that was not the reason he came back to college, right? They wanted to run it back. They wanted to win a title. And that just sucks that it ends
Yeah,
that way for him.
absolutely.
I don't know what direction you want to take this game because it's just a really interesting post-mortem now, knowing what we know about Penn State in totality heading forward. They're going to have an interim head coach. They're going to have a new quarterback. If that's Ethan Gronkmeyer, the backup who came in for that fourth down play and he got smacked on that last play too, man. I don't know what direction you want to take this, man. I mean, it was a lifeless effort from them. There was just long, methodical drives early in this game that didn't really help the vibe. They got a gift touchdown drive late in the second after Northwestern muffed a punt. And they kind of gave it back to them in the, I think it was the fourth quarter, or late third quarter. But this was just kind of aside from Devontae Ross stepping up and making plays, man, this game was like the perfect encapsulation of the Penn State season so far, where Katron Allen is making plays, but for some reason they're still trying to shoehorn Nick Singleton into the game plan, and he's not doing anything. Drew Allar, before he got hurt, was not fantastic in this one either. It's just same story, different day for the Nittany Lions.
Yeah, I mean, to go off the Ross thing, big game, 7 for 115. But in the words of Lee Corso, not so fast. 67 of those 115 came on a 1-reception, 5-yard drag route that he just outran people because he's fast.
Yep.
It wasn't because he went downfield, got open on a post out, or whatever you want to have it. It was just a drag route that Drew Allar hit and he ran. Honestly, Ryan, kind of where, first of all, props to Northwestern, because we did the same thing for UCLA last week. Too many people rained on Penn State, didn't give props to them. This was the first win in Beaver Stadium for Northwestern since 2014. And where I want to go with this, man, they rose up and they stymied the Penn State offense.
They sure
did.
did.
Then they bent Knowles over in his defense.
Just methodically running the ball. Just methodically running the ball. They were doing anything they wanted in the run game.
I watched a video of Doug Lamarice today, and he pointed this out. I want to end quote from him. You know, the game is imbalanced, and Northwestern goes on an 11-play, 75-yard, it might have been 12-play, I checked it later, but 11 or 12-play drive that was a 75 yards. It ate up 5 minutes and 54 seconds, then scored a TD right through the heart of Jim Knowles' checkbook, is what he said. Northwestern has one receiving threat, Ryan. One. Griffin Wilde. And Penn State didn't do jack shit to stop him, especially on the last drive. 3 of his 7 catches came on that 5-minute drive that essentially iced the game. He finished 794 and 1 TD on the day. Not only are you paying Franklin $50+ million to sit at home now, you're paying Jim Knowles $2 to $3 million to come out here and get his ass kicked by UCLA and Northwestern. At least when he had those bad snafus at Ohio State, they weren't getting their ass kicked by bottom feeders or perceived bottom feeders of the Big Ten, because Northwestern and UCLA technically are not bottom feeders of the Big Ten right now. No. They are both, 2-1 in the Big Ten? Northwestern might be 3-1. UCLA's 2-1, and UCLA's lone Big Ten loss is Northwestern. So, hell of a day. Penn State, they're now 3-3. In all 6 games, Ryan, they failed to play a complete game. Fail being the key word here, because this season is an entire failure now for everything they brought back. And again, I'm going to pat myself on the back to all you Penn State fans who talked your shit to me and saying there's no way Penn State would lose 3 games. You're staring there in the barrel of losing 6 games now.
They lost 3 games the first half of the season. Clinton, this team might not make a bowl game at this point.
Dude, they're going to Kinnick next week at night.
They are
off a fresh Iowa team who just fucking boat raced Wisconsin 37-0.
I think they opened as a slight favorite, and they're already a field goal underdog.
Yes. Iowa might kick the shit out of them. I don't know. Maybe it's the interim coach thing. Here's the other thing to look at, too, just outside of the game, but the long run. So now your coaches can, middle of the season. The transfer portal window, again, you won't be playing in the playoff to worry about it, but the portal window opens. You're already dropping 5-star recruits left and right. You lost your 5-star receiver. You just lost your 5-star running back. And you have no answer at head coach right now to try to pull these kids back in or to get different kids to come. This is a big hit for Penn State. And too many people are like, play the young guys and we'll just move forward to 2026. Buddy, I don't know if 2026 can be much better for you. You better hit that portal perfectly, because those fantastic recruits you were just all chiming about finally getting, they're gone now. They're not coming there because Franklin's toast. And I'm curious to see, I'm sure we'll get speculation over the next few weeks on who the coach might be, potential interest there. But, I'm sure Franklin's going to draw interest, maybe like the Virginia Tech job, maybe the UCLA job. whatever it is, but it's just complete and utter failure and complete and utter disappointment for Penn State in 2025. With you had every bit of expectations. You and I talked about this to an extent, though. We said that Ohio State Michigan method isn't going to be perfect forever.
That's
And
true.
you just felt like it was going to crash on Penn State because Penn State can't win the big game
Mm-hmm.
as far as like an equal or talented opponent. Hell, dude, we applauded Franklin for so many times that he didn't lose to teams of these lesser
That's
values.
true. Yep.
And they've got their ass kicked back-to-back weeks by it. So I understand the brass for Penn State making this call. You had to do it. The fan base is lost. The team is lost. It sucks and it's hard, but maybe they can find something and be bowling, get 4 more wins this year, but I don't know.
I think the funniest tweet I saw about this was it was Jeff Schwartz, who I think he's on ESPN or Fox, former Oregon offensive lineman. He quote tweeted the Pete Thamel tweet. Wait, what? After a bad 3-week stretch, they just decided to move on. I'm like, buddy, that is the understatement of the century right there. This is not a bad 3-week stretch. It's just so funny to look at, because I get it. Like if you look at it in a vacuum, it's like, oh, they lost 3 straight great games, and you're going to can the coach. But I think it was kind of one of those situations where, looking back on it, and maybe, and we talked about it a little bit preseason, though not to this level, because I don't think either of us foresaw this type of a collapse
No.
coming.
No, because you thought it was the 3 losses. It was Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana.
Yeah, it's like if they lose 3 games, they're going to lose the 3 biggest games on their schedule and beat everyone else. And it's like, okay, that seems like a situation where at the end of the season, given everything that they brought back, you can be sure that James Franklin's never going to get it done in Penn State. Maybe you don't fire him, but maybe you kind of give him the encouragement to maybe go look at that Florida job if it comes open. But you kind of hit the nail on the head there.
Would not survive in the SEC. Jesus Christ.
Well, he already did well at Vanderbilt, but
yeah, that's true.
I'm trying to. Well, let me finish this point before I get to the next one. And it's just like, I fucking don't even remember what the point I was. No, so you like talked about how his kind of calling card was, at least you're winning the games that you should, right? Now you're getting to the point where you're not even winning these games. You don't even have that proverbial high floor anymore. And at this point, it's like, I think even if they kind of went out, if they lost to Indiana, they lost to Ohio State, they finished 8-4. I think they still would have gotten rid of him at the end of the season, because this was the do or die year, right? Like you got to shit or get off the pot. Either you're getting it done this year, or you're not going to get it done here. And I don't know what has led to this point internally. If it was just they put everything into that Oregon game, and when they didn't win, it just kind of broke them. And this is the result of that. But it's just, they do not look like a functional football team now. And that's kind of the point where, like, well, we're going to make a change at the end of the season. We at least got to do it now.
Yeah. Before you make your next point, though, like that, I'm only taking that excuse so far. I know you sold out everything to
for sure. No, for sure.
beat Oregon. You cannot go in and lose the next week and look that bad to the worst Power 4 team in the country, and then come back and lose against a team that you completely overmatch.
Mm-hmm.
And just,
Clinton, it's just like they were gift wrapped this schedule.
Mm-hmm.
You had a 1-month preseason where you didn't play a team with a pulse, and then had a bye week before Oregon. And then after Oregon, you had the 2 worst teams in the Big Ten heading into the season on your schedule before you had to go to Kinnick. And then you got a bye before you had to go to Ohio State. They were gift wrapped a schedule to go 11-1 at worst this year. And they couldn't even do it.
Yep.
I think the funniest thing about this now is going to be just like the noise that comes around this head coaching search, because you're going to see the wish list and they're going to be like, it's the Penn State job. We should be able to get whoever we want. And I think they're going to find out pretty quickly that, Penn State's, not that it's a bad job, but it's not necessarily a job where you're going to look at someone like Kurt Signetti, who's going to be like, why am I going to leave my situation right now where I am already, you're not going to be able to give me a raise on top of what I use already giving me.
My team is better than yours.
I've already built my team here. Why would I want to go and rebuild 2 years after building this? You're going to have the back and forth between Indiana fans and Penn State fans. You're going to have the back and forth between some Penn State fans and Nebraska fans, because they're going to want Matt Rule. Then you're going to have noise about like Matt Campbell or someone else, and Penn State fans are going to be like, I don't want to hear that. Yeah, Fran Brown actually be a pretty good one for them. But
Look at the second time. I'm blanking on his name, but Vandy's head coach.
Barkley.
Yep.
I
Or
would
Eli Drinkowitz, if he wants to get out of the SEC and have a team that has the ability to actually compete, because Missouri's not going to do it in the SEC.
So this will be a fun one to follow. This is going to be a crazy coaching cycle, but this is, I think the other funny tweet I saw too, one of the Ohio State on 3 guys who was like, well, they fired James Franklin, and I think that means they probably have a better chance of beating Ohio State now.
Yeah, just because the coach is gone, but
yeah,
man,
but I don't
that
like
whole rest
you
of
talk
that team.
like you talk the dead cat bounce. Like that's one thing for UCLA when it's like you had no expectations coming into the season and you're just playing for pride. When you have a whole team of guys who came back for a title run and that's now like it's over now. They could win out. They're not making the playoff.
Nope.
But you have everyone comes back for that one goal and now you're halfway through the year and that goal is dead. I wonder how many guys on that team, not just they're going to just like stop playing, but like just like
They're mentally checked
out.
out.
1, 2, 3 Cancun.
There's nothing here. There's nothing here for that.
Clinton, let's talk about the actual good football of the weekend.
The duck hunt.
The duck hunt. Indiana 30, Oregon 20. I think there was always a universe, Clinton, where IU was going to win this game. But to me, the road felt like making plays out wide with their exceptional receiver core, getting their running backs in space. I did not have them beating the ever-loving shit out of Oregon in the trenches on my bingo card in this one. This was a bludgeoning from start to finish. And even when it was tied in the fourth quarter, I did not feel like Oregon was going to win this game. No. This was just a straight ass kicking by Indiana on both lines of scrimmage. It was a great game, back and forth, but Indiana was either tied or ahead for all but 5 minutes in the first quarter after the Ducks' first touchdown drive. They did well matching scores in this one. That touchdown drive where Oregon first went ahead, they followed it up and got points on the board. And then I don't remember if I texted you or if I tweeted it from our account. That pick 6 by Brandon Finney was just a terrible decision, a terrible throw by Fernando Mendoza that could have been the turning point in the game early in the fourth quarter. And they responded with a monster touchdown drive. And during that drive, Clinton, Fernando Mendoza was 5 of 7 for 52 yards, including the 3rd and goal touchdown pass to Elijah Surratt, who was a monster in this game. Man, this is I don't know that. We kind of talked before the game. I'm like, I don't think Indiana needs to win this game to announce themselves as a contender. But boy, golly, did they make a statement, and would not surprise me, Clinton. I mean, they're not number 1. They've come in at number 3 in the polls. But if they are the best team in the country right now, I don't think that's a hot take to say.
No, they're absolutely there, and they deserved it. You mentioned Mendoza. That was the play, man. I'm like, okay, Indiana has won this game up until this point. There was your costly mistake. Not only was it a pick, but it was a pick 6 to tie the game. But, man, he showed some true grit coming out and leading that touchdown drive on the next series. He could have folded.
Yep.
Could have folded, man. That's the sign of a great leader. And I'm going to give credit to Signetti as well. I'm sure he went over, talked to him, said, hey, man, strap it up. You're good. Let's go win this game. Here's how unique this win is for Indiana, Ryan. This is their first road win all time against an AP top 5 team. Just playing AP top 5 teams, they were 1-72 all time coming into this game. Where was the other thing I want? They snapped the Ducks' 18-game win streak in Autzen, which was the current longest in the nation after Ohio State broke Washington's home win streak. So 2 streaks snapped in the Big Ten. Indiana was just a more physical team. You said it, man. They held Oregon to 81 yards rushing. They sacked Moore 6 times. He'd only been sacked 1 time prior to this, and they got after him. And they held Oregon's total offense to 267 yards. Moore also had only thrown 1 pick this entire year. I know Mendoza threw 1, but they doubled him up, 1 being obviously late in the game there. Where is my rushing stats? We said Indiana had to be able to run the ball, and I believe they went for, there it is, 128 yards, 2 TDs. They didn't bust their normal average, which is over 200, but when you hold your opposing team to 81 and you go for 128, 2 TDs, and just out-physical them, that was the 3 keys, right? Which quarterback outperforms or proves more costly in a mistake, trench play, And that was both sides. Indiana got 6 while Oregon only got 1, or Indiana allowed 1. They ran the ball well, 128, 2 TDs, and that's impressive against such a tough opponent. And we said they needed to be able to run the ball to help cancel out a little bit of the crowd of Oregon. Here's still the small problem for Indiana to me. If you find a way, whether you take the pass or you have the ability to stifle their run with their RPO game, that's where they're going to be in trouble. And Oregon couldn't do it. They got them a few times. They couldn't do it consistently. And last year, the concern was Indiana couldn't contain or couldn't hang with these guys because they weren't good enough in the trenches. And what'd they go out and fix? They went out and fixed it. They got deeper. So signature win for Cignetti. I know it was a second win over a ranked opponent this year, top 10, because in Illinois was top 10 when they beat them, right? So your second top 10 win of the year. I'm thoroughly impressed with the Hoosiers, man. Like when you walk into the pits of hell and you walk out the new Satan, that was a hell of a good win. Fun game too.
Yeah.
Fun game.
There was a lot of back and forth. Just a salty IU defense, man. And if that defense, which was really good last year, they played well in that Notre Dame game, not as well in the I mean, they played not too bad in the Ohio State game, aside from a couple of plays. But if that's what they're going to be this year, man, that's going to be a tough team to beat.
Listen, this is what happens when your coach goes on game day at 5 a.m. in the morning with Pat McAfee and takes his shirt off.
That's
totally cringe. Totally cringe.
I loved the after the game when someone asked Cignetti something along the lines of, do you think this win got you respect or whatever? He's like, I don't care. People are going to argue whether they like cookies or brownies better. I'm like, that pretty much describes Twitter in a nutshell. So,
well, all I've already seen was, well, clearly Oregon's not that good because Penn State's not good. I'm like, clearly you guys don't understand football.
Yeah, no kidding.
You don't get it. Like, you've never played to understand. Like, you get a back-breaking loss as your Penn State and a huge win as Oregon. Oregon is still a very good football team and would beat 95% of the country handedly. Give Indiana their dues. They're freaking good.
Yep,
They are good.
This is a very, very clear case of those were two good teams on the field, and one was just clearly better. And sometimes that happens.
Now, again, they get Michigan State next week, but do not come out here and have some letdown spot. Michigan State's not been playing good, and we're going to get to them. But they do have weapons that could potentially beat you if they play perfect and Indiana plays down.
Aiden Childs got hurt, so we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
True.
Let's talk about the other team in Michigan, though, Clinton, because this was I don't know if the result was the most surprising result of the weekend in our sphere. Well, that's clearly wasn't because of the Northwestern game, but I think how this game played out was fairly surprising. If I were to sit here pregame and tell you that one team would have a 225 to 109 rushing yards edge, a 6.4 yards per carry to 3.5 yards per carry edge, you wouldn't. There's no way that you would sit there and say, "Yeah, USC won this game," right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I just told you that without context, you'd be like, "Oh, USC, we've got their shit kicked in again."
Yep. 100%.
And that is not what happened, Clinton. The Trojans manhandled Michigan in this game. They beat Michigan at their own game. They Michigan. They tried to do what Ohio State has tried to do the last 2 years, and they succeeded.
But did it better.
Yeah, maybe
well, listen,
Ryan
part of the
Day
reason
give Lincoln Riley a call and be like, "How did you do that?"
Well, I can tell you why. Because they ran their normal spread offense.
That's true.
And ran the ball.
Yep.
You didn't line up with a shit ton of tight ends or tight formations and run it up the middle. They got creative with it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's, I think, what USC fans have been asking from Lincoln Riley is, look, you don't have to tighten up the offense. Just run the ball more. Kind of the co-headliner of this game, though, was the injuries, and this is going to kind of play into the game. Wayman Jordan got rolled up on I think it was late in the second quarter. He did not return. He was on crutches, and it sounds like he's going to be week to week. Justice Haynes left midway through the second quarter with some kind of torso injury. We were talking pre-show. It looked kind of like a rib based on where he was grabbing, but he also did not return. This was not that big of a deal for USC, and it was a huge deal for Michigan because Justice Haynes has been their offense this year. Enter King Miller, the walk-on running back for USC who had to play because they had other injuries at the position. He had 18 carries, 158 yards. I think he's still running, Clinton. He might still be running right now. He was outstanding in this game. The USC defense had 3 sacks, 5 tackles for a loss. Michigan did have 5 tackles for a loss, but they did not get after Jaden Maeva in this game. A lot of quick, short passes. A very, very, very good game plan by Lincoln Riley and that offensive staff in this game. And there was some resiliency in this one for SC too, man. They did well at responding to turnovers. You had your boy Lake Tate McRae had a fumble when USC was driving in the first quarter. They let Michigan move the ball a little bit, but then forced a punt. Then Jaden Maeva, I think it was in the third quarter, had just a god-awful red zone interception, which was answered by Bryce Underwood throwing his own red zone interception, which probably was pass interference on the play, but I digress. Maybe a little bit of a brief butt pucker moment for USC when Underwood hit Marsh for a 69-yard touchdown.
Oh, yeah.
There was just over 9 minutes left to make it 24-13, but USC responded with a 9-play, 75-yard touchdown drive to put this one away. Clinton, the big question I have for you on this one is, do you think this win says more about USC's status as a contender moving forward or more about Michigan's status as maybe we were too high on them because they still don't have the passing game figured out, and if they're playing without Justice Haynes, maybe they don't have the running game figured out either?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Marshall,
he was also banged up too. Jordan Marshall was also there was a couple times he was coming up limping, so they basically had like half a functional running back in this game.
And he still finished 14 for 68, but this 109 yards is not the typical Michigan offense we've seen since they went on that tear, from 2021 plus. They have been monsters in the run game. I don't want to be a fence sitter, man, but I feel like it tells us a little bit about both. It tells us that Michigan potentially being hyped and saying they're going to go into Ohio State 10-1 was probably a little too much given what we've seen so far. And they're only, I mean, I guess Nebraska was a test, but their true test being on the road in Oklahoma when Mateer didn't throw 500 interceptions. And then for USC, I think it shows some positive for them that Lincoln Riley was finally able to develop a game plan that worked in the Big Ten. They handled physicality. So it certainly plays into the fact that, yeah, Michigan's not as good, so USC gets the dominant win. But I don't want to take anything away from the Trojans on this. They had a great game plan, and they lose their star running back. They also had Eli Sanders out and had to rely on King Miller, crown the kid, to come in and dominate, and he did. And Maeva was great in this game. Outside of the bonehead pick, he played really, really well. And you contrast that to Underwood, and we talked about this pre-show. Underwood had some really awesome throws in this game. I believe he hit a really good no-look to be able to, again, when a guy is wide open like Marsh is, and you have to put the ball on him. He did fine.
Yep.
But then you see these swing routes, man, and he throws them in the dirt. Or he's got a guy on a 5-yard curl, and he just spikes it into the dirt in front of him. Like, you have to give him something to be able to work with, and it did not happen. So I guess I probably lean, for your question, more to the side of Michigan's not as good as people were speculating. I think you and I, given schedule, we thought they could be 10-1, but I think we kind of knew with the team.
Yep.
But then also props USC, first win over Michigan since the 2007 Rose Bowl. They got their revenge.
I think this is and I might say something controversial here, and then if any USC fans are listening, they'll probably be mad, but that's okay. Michigan fans probably too. This is very clearly one of those situations where both things can be true at the same time. I don't think Michigan was 10-2 good, and our only conversation about them being 10-2 was just because they got through Nebraska, and the rest of the schedule after this game was just kind of meh. Mm-hmm. But also, like, if this was make no mistake about it, this was a back against your wall game for Lincoln Riley.
Mm-hmm.
You, last time out, I get they had the food poisoning thing going around, and that probably impacted the Illinois game a little bit, but you had another instance where you went on the road out east to play a Big Ten team, and you got your ass kicked on the line of scrimmage by a team that's fine. Illinois is fine this year. They're not a fantastic team, what we have seen from them against Ohio State and Indiana. It's not a fantastic football team. They're a perfectly fine Big Ten team, and they kicked your ass. And you had a lot of USC fans. We have mentioned the USC burnerverse on this podcast more than once. You had some pretty typically like gung-ho USC people saying, I am out on Lincoln Riley because this man is not it. Coming in off of a bye week, playing a game in prime time in front of your home crowd, after that, like, this was the ultimate, like, we have to win this game thing. And that's my cause, I guess my cause for pause with USC is this a sign of things to come, a trend of them being truly a tougher program, or was this we just put everything that we had into winning a game that we know we needed to win, and now we're going to come out flat in our next game when we're playing perhaps the last time the Notre Dame USC rivalry, when that environment is going to be jacked to the tits at 12. It is going to be hostile. It is going to be angry. Marcus Freeman is going to be angry. The crowd is going to be angry. I'm going to be angry. The players are going to be angry. How do you respond to that? That's all. That's my only question.
Wait,
I still think they're walking into a hornet's nest next weekend, and they
said
had
at noon.
Oh no, it's prime time.
I was
It
going to
is
say,
prime
I
time.
just got the ad right here. That game is prime time, buddy.
Oh, it is going to be, and you know what?
On Peacock. No,
Notre Dame, right? Yeah, it will technically be on Peacock, but also be on NBC. And Notre Dame Stadium rightly gets shit on for the wine and cheese crowd and all the old hats who yell at people, and it doesn't get loud. If it's a primetime game against a big opponent, that shit gets loud. It is going to be a fucking frenzy, and I kind of want to go to the game. I actually can't go to the game. I'm going to be in Columbus, so never mind. I'm not going to the game. But that'll be the big test. Can you string it together, USC? Was this a one-time thing? Even if you come out and you lose next weekend, but you look good doing it, like they did last year, right, in LA, where maybe the score got a little skewed because of the 2 pick sixes at the end, but you're toe for toe with Notre Dame the whole game. You show that, hey, we are tougher. Maybe this is a team that can go. What are they? The second last weekend of the year they play Oregon, so they're what, 8-2, 9-2 heading into that Oregon game. I guess they would be 8-2 heading into that Oregon game because they finish USC. I mean, that wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world. So
No.
I think this is a good first step, but you have to parlay this forward if you are going to be taken seriously. And maybe they will, maybe they won't, but I guess we'll find out. Should be fun.
I'm just excited for the Pick'em show on Thursday.
You already know. Clinton, I've already been teasing this. Notre Dame is going to kick the shit out of them. This did not change anything for me.
I think you have a lot of faith in a team that hasn't beaten anyone yet and doesn't have a great defense.
Clinton, we'll get, you know what? We're just going to talk about Notre Dame now. Notre Dame, so there's all this talk about Notre Dame hasn't played anyone, which is fine.
Well, I think you've played two teams at the beginning. You haven't played anyone since.
Clinton, Arkansas nearly beat Ole Miss and just nearly beat Tennessee.
Aren't you the one that just told me, though, college football week to week is not linear?
So the last 3 teams Notre Dame has played have good offenses. They held Arkansas 28 points below their season average. They held Boise State 30 points below their season average, and they held NC State 27 points below their season average. That's a defense that is getting a lot better. Those are good offenses. The defenses aren't very good, but those are good offenses that they have taken care of. And USC is a different beast, and they showed that last year. But this is a Notre Dame defense that's now figuring out how they want to defend themselves. And now they have the tape of USC showing that they're not going to get surprised by USC trying to run the ball like Michigan clearly was. We talked about this pre-show too. That game reminded me of LSU Texas A&M last year when LSU was beating the shit out of Connor Wegman, and then they threw in Marcel Reed, and it looked like they had never seen a running quarterback before and had no idea how to stop him. Michigan clearly did not expect USC to try to run it up their ass that entire game, and that's what happened.
So you can't, Notre Dame NC State game. We're getting too far into a Notre Dame USC preview.
Yeah, you got me all fucking fired
up
Thursday.
Here. Tell me about NC State Notre Dame. I didn't have the cock to watch this game.
This is one of those perfect games, Clinton, when you're a coach where you more or less dominated the game. The contest was never in doubt, and you still didn't really play well, and you can shit on your team the entire week. Notre Dame has a short yardage problem, and it is costing them points. They had 2 3-and-outs by NC State to start the game. They scored on their first drive. Their second drive, they got down to the 7, and on 4th and 1, they decided to do a rollout with Carr instead of running it up the middle, because clearly that hasn't worked either. And they tried the Wildcat, and they tried the quarterback run. So let's try to roll out Carr. And instead of throwing the ball into the end zone, he ran out of bounds, which was the dumbest thing that I had seen in this game to this point. It got dumber. Same thing happened late in the second quarter, except now at 7-7. They had 4th and 3 at the 8, and they basically tried to do the same thing, but this time he threw it into the end zone and it was picked off. So they don't know how to do 3rd and short or 4th and short without Riley Leonard playing quarterback. I don't know if the answer is like throwing Kenny Minchie for a potential quarterback run package or what, but it's just not working.
Bench Carr. No, I'm kidding.
No, you should not do that. This was also a game where NC State basically decided that we don't give a shit what you do in the pass game. We are just going to torpedo the line of scrimmage to try to stop the run. And if you're throwing the ball, hopefully we get to the quarterback, because if not, we have no faith we're going to cover you anyway. And that made for kind of a rough watch the first half, because Notre Dame was still trying to establish the run, and it was not working because, again, they were torpedoing 7 guys into the line of scrimmage on every play. It took them a minute for them to decide that they were just going to stop doing that, and eventually they let Carr air it out. He was 19 of 31, 342 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Neither Love nor Price was fantastic, but it was a perfectly fine pedestrian effort. Love had 86 yards on 18 carries, 2 touchdowns. Price 66 yards on 15 carries. And I could not tell you, Clinton, the last time 2 Notre Dame receivers, pass catchers, had 100 yards receiving in the same game. It might have been the Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma State. Yeah, it was. It got good at the end. After NC State, they had an 11-play, 83-yard drive that ended in a touchdown early in the second quarter. But even that, 45 of it came on a wheel route touchdown over freshman Dallas Golden. After that, NC State's last 9 drives, Clinton, their last 9 drives of this game were punt, 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 interception, interception, safety, interception. Completely bamboozled in
Tough
this
to
game.
overcome.
Yeah, it was much better effort from the Notre Dame defense in this one. The last 2 weeks, they have 8 sacks and 7 interceptions. They are playing their best football at the right time, because this is going to be the best passing attack that they will see all season, even in the playoff. It is actually the best 2 offenses in Kelly Ford's power rankings heading into this game. So
Notre Dame and USC?
USC is number 1. Notre Dame's
Nice.
number 2. There
Should
will be
be a fun
points.
one.
There will be points. Back on our regularly scheduled programming, now that I'm not mad at Clinton anymore. The
You're
biggest
going to be mad
compliment-
Thursday.
I literally, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking
We'll
about.
see.
I will
We'll
bet you. I
see.
will bet you real money on this. You won't do it because you know I'm right.
No, it depends on what your definition and how big of ass beating you're saying is. Because
They're
10's
not-
not an ass beating. Ass beating is 28 plus.
No, I don't think they're
In my world.
28 plus. I don't think they'll win by.
So when you say that to me,
they're going to
and-
win by at least 17.
I'll have to think about it over 2 days, but I don't know.
Can I outline this? I'm going to find out if I can outline this. While I figure this out, Clinton, talk about your football team. Ohio State 34, Illinois 16. I think the greatest compliment you can play Ohio State is they're just beating the brakes off of teams, and it's just like, cool, good job. You did what you were supposed to do.
So, Ohio State, we talked about this pregame or on the Pick'em show. What were they going to do this week at Illinois? Were they just going to spread them out like they did Minnesota and sling the rock? Or were they going to do what they did in the first half against Washington and play it close to the vest? And that's what they did. Now, Illinois did a really good job trying to eliminate Ohio State's deep ball and forcing them to still attack underneath. But Ohio State's play calling was not super creative. I would agree that Ohio State themselves also has a bit of a short yardage problem and maybe a slight run game problem, which has been kind of the case, unfortunately, with Ryan Day outside of the Chip Kelly years. 1 year singular. Jeremiah Smith's still really good. Carnell Tate's still really good. They still live there. Julian Sand, this was kind of a choppy game for him. A little miscommunication with Carnell Tate when they should have probably had a touchdown. But he's still pretty damn accurate. And Illinois poked a little hole in Ohio State's defense this week. They did give up 2 red zone touchdowns. However, they were both essentially trick plays that got them touchdowns. So if you want to score on Ohio State inside the 5, you have to come up with something out of your ass twice to be able to do it. Because if you just line up, they're going to smash you, which they did right at the end of the second quarter again. But for the Buckeye defense, what they're going to have to work on now that Illinois did in the second half is Illinois ran more hurry up, which didn't allow Ohio State to substitute. The caveat to that is you have to be able to be a team who has a quarterback and the ability to move the ball down the field. Because if you go hurry up and go 3 and out, now your defense is in trouble
Mm-hmm.
because you've got to come back on the field to play Ohio State. Guess who's not going to be able to run hurry up next week? Wisconsin. And I'm
Well,
already calling this one. When Ohio State bludgeons Wisconsin, I think Luke Fickell is the next coach fired next week.
and that was the perfect encapsulation of this was like that third to fourth quarter because Ohio State gets the long touchdown drive, and almost immediately after that they strip sacked Altmaier, and all of a sudden this game went from 20-10 to 34-10 in the blink of an eye, and at that point
And they
it was
just
over.
part of it was Ohio State. One of the follow recap podcasts I listened to is they said the team walked into that stadium and they could tell they were just kind of low on energy. They're like, nah, we're here. We're going to win. And that's what's going to happen. And you got the vibe. But in parts of this game, though, when they turned it on, they scored instantly. Illinois couldn't do anything. Or on defense, when they decided to pressure with like Arvell Reese, guess what happened? Illinois couldn't do anything. Because at the end of the game, Illinois was trying to drive again to make that game look even closer. And Ryan Day threw a fit, and he threw all of his starters back on the field, and Illinois couldn't move the ball.
I thought that was going to get backdoored for a second, and I was going to send you an expletive-laden text message because I had a lot of money on Ohio State.
No, I think somebody. I think they said Ryan Day threw something, and he looked at all of his starting defensive linemen and said, "This isn't happening. Get out there now." And then he threw Downs and everybody else back out there, and then Illinois couldn't move the ball anymore. He's like, "Fuck this." But Ohio State had like seven or nine penalties. They had 2 delay of games on a punt. Like they were just very checked in and checked out of this game. When they had the check in, they scored and made stops religiously, and there was nothing Illinois could do about it, which is fantastic because we said this last year with Ohio State. When they even play an A- game, and we're going to reference the team this year, I don't know if there's anyone that can beat them. They're just too loaded everywhere.
I think Indiana could.
We'll
Miami
see.
probably could.
Maybe we'll get to see that in Indianapolis. We'll see. I'm still not sold that Ohio State will beat Michigan. So, anyways.
Yeah, if they play that way against Michigan, they'll probably
Absolutely.
lose.
They were a C+, B- game. I'm going to go more C+. So,
Do we need to run a pool on how many first downs Wisconsin's going to get in that game? Because I think I'd probably set the over/under at like 6
when they play
and a half.
Ohio State,
Yeah.
I think I love Luke Fickell being a former Buckeye. I think he's about to get beat down worse than this week because Ryan Day is on a mission this year to chew his team's ass out anytime that he can, and they're going to get their asses chewed out all week. And Wisconsin's going to get a bloodbath from Ohio State in this game.
Let's just talk about this game real quick here because it
Told you
feels
guys
like
to go for the under 37 and a half.
It feels like Luke Fickell's quit on his own team.
Mm-hmm.
Is Iowa 37, Wisconsin 0, the under hit and Iowa -4.5 hit. I had both of those on the same ticket. Good for me. But Clinton, this game played out exactly like I thought it would, where Iowa would move the ball in spurts. Their defense would set them up with good field position more often than not, and they would have little issues holding down the pop gun Wisconsin offense. I don't even know if we can call it a pop gun at this point. It's like a 2 for flinching tug that you give
little
your
Red Ryder BB gun. Pew, pew.
something like that. This was just an ugly watch from a Wisconsin offensive standpoint. Hunter Simmons was picked off. I texted you as Danny O'Neill was Hunter Simmons.
Like, wait a second.
Yeah, that was on me. Hunter Simmons was picked off twice in the first quarter. One of the most ridiculous near pick sixes I've ever seen. He literally turned to throw a screen pass and hit Iowa defensive end Aaron Graves square in the hands. He returned it to the one. It was not quite a pick six, but Wisconsin did not cross midfield until there were 7 minutes and 58 seconds left in the second quarter. They got to the Iowa 37 before turning it over on downs, and Clinton, that was the deepest they got into Iowa territory all night. There was another situation late in the fourth quarter in the under 2 situation where instead of trying to push to score, Luke Fickell just ran the clock out on his own team. Which,
He's just
again,
trying to limp out of here, man.
that's 2 weeks of throwing the white flag up late in the game, man. I don't even know. On the Iowa side, it was good to see Mark Gronowski healthy enough to go. He was
and Xavier Williams.
He was perfectly fine in this game. He was 17 of 24 for 107 yards and interception. Only 4 carries for 9 yards in the run game because they didn't need him. The Iowa ground game won the day. They had 36 rushes as a team, 210 yards on the ground, 4 rushing touchdowns, 2 of them from the aforementioned Xavier Williams in Clinton, Wisconsin. 109 total yards of offense in this game. They don't have an offense. They don't really have a defense.
Can you do
don't know what
math?
they have.
127 plus 82 is 209, not 109.
Oh, I literally wrote 209 and I said 109. That's on me.
I was like, holy cow.
Nope, I wrote it down right. I just read it wrong. I just can't read. Good for me. Good for me.
I want to be impressed by the fact that Iowa curb stomped them 37-0, but if you just read stats, it's again, I know it's Gronowski's first game back. You're right, he played fine. That's about the only word you can give that.
That's all that they needed. That's all they needed.
I read Jeffrey the Greek's tweet last night, and he's looking through the game, and it's like, I should be really happy that Iowa's essentially bludgeoning Wisconsin out, but they're kind of playing like shit. And I'm like, well, yeah, it doesn't look pretty. I mean, if you're just scoreboard watching, they dominated. Yep. Mm-hmm. But if you dive into it a little bit, it still wasn't as pretty. Run game, great. You know, Wisconsin, you can say you can do one thing. You can run the ball. You get 127 yards. But when you rush it 36 times and it's 3.5 yards per carry, that's not great. And when a pissed off Ohio State comes to Madison next week, you might lose 70-0.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Ohio State's going to play patty cake with them the way they did Illinois and Washington. I think they're going to spread them out and beat their ass. And I'm calling this as my early call. I think we said Franklin was done. I think Fickle's done after this coming week. If they get bludgeoned, he's done.
Yeah.
If he's not done this week, I guess they could still cancel him this week. But
yeah,
I think he's getting one more game against his alma mater, and he's going to get. He better have his lube ready because he's going to take it hard.
Yeah, that's just I don't know. Do you just wait till he gets his shit kicked in by Oregon and then just do it after the bye week? Or do it going into the bye week?
Potentially.
I don't know,
man. It's woof.
Yeah.
Woof.
Yep. He might not be the only coach on the hot seat because it seems like there is a race between him and Jonathan Smith to see who can turn that seat up to the highest temperature. UCLA 38, Michigan State 13. It is unbelievable, Clinton, that UCLA had this ace offensive coordinator on their staff masquerading as a tight ends coach. And now that he is calling plays, they're all of a sudden an unstoppable offense.
Does he just overtake the interim head coach for UCLA and be their head coach next year?
Dude, it seems like it because every graphic that On3 or whoever tweets is just Jerry Neuheisel on. It's like, you guys know he's not the head coach, right? But there's something different about this this UCLA team. There's something different about USC too. But they can run now, Clinton. They had 238 yards on the ground in this one, and it was actually not because of Nico in this one. Here's some ridiculous stats for you. Jalen Berger, 12 carries for 89 yards and a touchdown in this one. He also had 2 receiving touchdowns. Fantastic game for him. The first 5 games of the season for UCLA, Berger had 78 combined yards on the ground. He more than doubled his previous 5 games output in this game. Javian Thomas had 54 yards on 12 carries and a touchdown. He has 114 yards the last 2 games after having only 105 yards the first 4. That's just ridiculous how much better they are running the football. Now they're spreading the ball out well amongst their receivers. They got 4 tackles for a loss in this game. They're playing really good football, Clinton. They're playing like the team that Mike Regalado said could challenge for 8 wins this year.
Maybe
but the other side, listen, stranger things have happened. Do they control their playoff? Do they technically control their playoff destiny at this point?
Aren't they 2-3?
Yeah, but they're only 1 loss in the Big Ten.
I mean, I guess if they somehow won the Big Ten, but
you would need Ohio State and
they're 2-4. Sorry, they're 2-4
because they technically play Ohio State. So if they win out, they would be in the Big Ten title game
against Indiana.
Right?
Or do they play Indiana?
No, they don't play Indiana.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. They might.
They do.
No, they do. They do. Yep. They play Indiana. So
they might be an 8-4 number 1 team in the country if they beat Indiana and Ohio State and USC.
Listen, let's suspend reality for a minute. How would it be the craziest occurrence in the history of American sports if UCLA started the season 0-4, going 0-2 in Mountain West Conference play, losing to Northwestern, who we previously thought was not a very good team, and then ripped off 8 consecutive wins, including 2 against top 5 teams, en route to making the Big Ten title game as an 8-4 team.
I think I'd vomit. That would be pretty unique to see. That is not going to happen, but
No.
UCLA's on a heater, and Michigan State is cold as ice. Michigan State Childs started it off, scored first, and then UCLA rattled off 38 straight points to suffocate them. It's something about Big Ten play for UCLA, man. Mm-hmm. They did the shit last year. They came on strong, except they're coming on way stronger now.
So let me just to further, you mentioned the 38-0 run, but let me just to further emphasize the ineptitude here. So with 9:01 left in the first quarter, that's when UCLA got the ball back after the Michigan State touchdown. From that point to 1:44 left in the third quarter, when UCLA scored to make it 38-7. So that entire time took almost the entire third quarter, the whole second quarter, and about half of the first quarter. Michigan State had 7 drives that totaled 33 plays for 92 yards. It was 3 punts, 3 turnovers on downs, and a fumble. That's just insane ineptitude through the middle portion of this game, and that's what sunk them in this one. They're not good on offense right now. Aiden Childs got knocked out. I think it was in the first drive of the second half. The backup came in, and he was okay, 8 of 18 for 100 yards in this one. But he had a couple nice passes on the garbage time TD drive in the fourth quarter. Maybe that's something you can build on if Childs is out next week, but I just don't know what the move is for the Spartans here, man, because you're going to IU, and sure, this could be a letdown position for Indiana if we are talking about the typical letdown area, but there's just nothing on this Michigan State team that makes me feel good about their ability to be a pesky team that gets you in a tricky letdown spot.
No, you almost look at it as, if you pull out the Nebraska win, it's something you hang your hat on and build your confidence with. And I just don't think this team has confidence right now, that being Michigan State. And I don't know where you find it.
Mm-hmm.
They scored 7 points in the first quarter and 6 in the fourth, man. You did nothing that you talked about in the middle of the game. Also, to note, Jalen Berger is a 2023 transfer from Michigan State.
Ooh.
He went back and wrecked their homecoming.
Sure did.
Also, again, Nico, another great game. He had 3 more TDs this week, all passing this time. And as you mentioned, he did not have to be the leading rusher, 6 carries, 3 yards. What was our point before this game? Michigan State, don't do what Penn State did and lean on your run game.
Mm-hmm.
Mekhi Frazier, 12 carries, 58 yards. Nobody else had over 10. Aiden Childs, 6 for 9. Alessio, can't pronounce his last name, 1 for 9. Nick Marsh, 1 carry, 6 yards. You got one of the worst run defenses still in the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, through 2 games, nobody can run the ball on them. They've got some type of voodoo magic right now, and it's exciting to watch for UCLA and their fans. And we're 6 games in. There's 6 games left. I think it's feasible the Bruins could they find their way to at least a bowl game?
Oh, boy, man. If you you host Maryland this weekend, that's a tricky spot for Maryland, even though the Terps have been really good this year.
But you just hosted 2 home games in which you lost tough games, and now you got to go to the West Coast to a team is arguably the hottest team in the country.
Yep. I mean, if you get the win here, I still don't think you're beating Indiana because you have to go to Bloomington. Not that that really matters at all. But if you head into the bye week, you need to finish this. If you get the win here, you're 3-5 heading into the bye week. You got to get 3 of your last 4. That's home against Nebraska, at Ohio State, home against Washington, at USC. That is not
murderer's row.
That's not the easiest end of the season, man. But with the way they're playing right now, I suppose anything is possible. Flip side, though, for Michigan State, you're in a tough spot now because you need to steal a game, one of these next 3, against Indiana, Michigan, or at Minnesota, at Indiana, I should say. At Indiana, at Minnesota, Michigan. You need to steal one of those games because if you lose the next 3, you have to win out. That is, after the bye, you have Penn State, which all of a sudden looks like an entirely winnable game. You're at Iowa, and then you get Maryland at Ford Field. I do not like Michigan State's chances of making a bowl game if they lose their next 3. That is a very difficult
Listen, Ryan,
3-game
the only
winning
thing
streak.
they're stealing is stealing people's time watching this game, watching
That's
them
true.
play.
It has not been fun. I'm bouncing around on the sheet here. I got to go back and make sure we don't miss anybody here. Nebraska.
Friday.
Well, we got
Rutgers,
Nebraska first. Let's go Nebraska first because I wanted to talk about this earlier and we kind of got lost in the shovel here. This is we're filing this one again for the second straight week under the old Nebraska would have lost this game. Nebraska 34, Maryland 31. This was a fun back and forth swings. Nebraska was up 10-0. Maryland took a 14-10 lead. Then Nebraska took a 24-14 lead. Then it was 31-24 Maryland in the third after a Dante Joyner 67-yard pick six. It was great composure by Dylan Raiola and this entire Nebraska team. They had a 12-play, 83-yard field goal drive and then a 7-play, 81-yard game-winning touchdown drive that finished with 1:08 left. This Maryland defense got after it, though, early in this game. They picked off Raiola 3 times, 2 in the first half. And the crazy thing,
shit out of him.
Yeah, they were hammering him. There was that one play he got up limping, and then someone came in. That was a bullshit play. Don't do that. We talked about this during the week. If you're Maryland and you're going to get up on teams, you need to be better at running the ball. And the crazy thing is, man, they actually ran the ball pretty well in this one. So they had a late third quarter drive when they were up. Their first 6 plays were runs. They gained to 29 yards, but then you kind of faltered, had a gain of 2. On 2nd and 4, you had a loss of 4. And then, you had a loss 4 on 3rd and 2. It kind of wrecked. Sorry, I can't read my own fucking notes. But then you kind of got stuffed on that last drive when right after Nebraska kicked the field goal, and that was kind of the difference in this one. Malik Washington was awesome in this one, still does a really good job spreading the ball around, had a great game against what has been a very salty pass defense this year. But I like the way Dylan Raiola responded. That's growth for this Nebraska team. They did not play their best game. Tough situation, tough environment. They came out, they got the win in thanks to their running game, which was fantastic in this one.
Quick work. That's the description of Nebraska's first 3 touchdown drives. Took 6 plays. That's fantastic. Wake me up when September ends. Well, it's over, and Maryland still hasn't won a game. So
it's just so crazy, though, too, because it's not like
they're not bad.
It's not like the clock turned to October and they're shit. They could very well be 6 in Oakland. And if they could hold on to a lead, they'd be 6-0 right now.
Yep. And you already mentioned if they'd had this run game last week against Washington, they probably do. If they'd have been a little better, 130 yards, that's great. Malik Washington, though, man, he continues to impress. I put out the tweet yesterday, and surprisingly, I didn't really get much fire against it. That Malik Washington, is he the best freshman quarterback in the Big Ten? Who would you rather have right now? Bryce Underwood or Malik Washington?
For sure.
I'm taking Washington
all
day.
You are not wrong.
All day. Like, he is performing well. He's not having errant passes. He also doesn't throw a 300-mile-an-hour fastball that his teammates can't catch. Shout out Naziah Hunter in this game, man. 5 receptions, 125 yards, 2 TDs. Monster game. Nobody else in the pass department really did anything else for Raiola. Emmett Johnson, absolute, is a baller, man. 8.4 yards per carry. It's going to come down to 2 guys, and Emmett Johnson being one of them. We won't reveal all of our stuff for Rule and Player of the Week, but Emmett Johnson will be a finalist for the week. We will let you guys know on the Tuesday show. But impressive performance for Nebraska. Ryan hit it on the head. This is a game in the past they would have choked away and they would have lost. Now, you're on the road again next week at Minnesota. You're facing another good freshman quarterback, and redshirt freshman, in Drake Lindsey. Let's see if Nebraska can continue this momentum. They're kind of sloppy in this game. You play sloppy on the road next week at Minnesota. I don't know if you pull that one out. Raioula's got to clean up the interceptions. You cannot throw 3 again on the road against Minnesota. Coy Parrish lurks, and he was a absolute stellar safety last year at making big plays happen. So the Cornhuskers need to be careful there. But overall, man, Nebraska continues to truck for playoff dark horse.
This is true.
In addition to Washington.
So let's talk about that one next. The Friday night game. There's so much that happened this weekend. I almost forgot to put this on my note sheet. Washington 38, Rutgers 19. Clinton, this game was insane.
Mm-hmm.
It was a slow first quarter, and then it picked up in the second, and it was the offensive slugfest that I hoped it would be, but it did not give me enough points because the under just missed, or the over just missed. Ethan Kaliak-Manis threw a pick in the end zone, and it was one of 4 turnovers inside the red zone in this game. Rutgers had a turnover on downs at the Washington 6 midway through the second quarter. On the ensuing drive, Damon Williams got it all the way down to I think it was the 2-yard line, and then he fumbled it right before the 2-minute timeout. And then in the last 2 minutes of the first half, Rutgers proceeded to drive almost the entire length of the field to kick a field goal, and then Washington got the ball right back and kicked a field goal as well. It was insane. Then there was also a play early in the fourth when I think it was, I want to say 31-19, when Rutgers was at the end of a 19-play, 73-yard drive. Antoine Raymond was brought down at the 2-yard line, just short for another turnover on down. So 4 turnovers total in this one, 3 by Rutgers inside the red zone. And in a game like this, even though the margin was a little lopsided at the end, man, that ends up being the difference here.
Yeah, I got to tune in a fair amount to the first half here. It looks similar to the Washington team that choked against Rutgers last year. Penalties, special teams errors. And then you go and you look at the box score for the second half, 28-6. But then I looked a little further, and from the second quarter on, it was 38-9 Washington. Williams became the 16th quarterback in the FBS history, Ryan, to accumulate 400 yards passing and 100 yards rushing in a game. The only other Big Ten quarterback to match this, can you name him, Ryan? He's a Northwestern quarterback.
Like all time? What Northwestern quarterback?
This is the only Big Ten other quarterback to go 400 and 100. Can you name who it was? He's from Northwestern.
Oh, was it Mike Kafka?
They beat your Bowling Green Falcons when he did this.
Oh, I would have absolutely no idea because what was that? 25
years ago? One back in the time machine, I believe it was November 17th, 2001.
Oh, yeah.
Zach Kustok, 111 yards rushing, 421 yards passing, whipped on the Bowling Green Falcons. Both of his 402 passing, 136 rushing were career high for Damon Williams. Listen, Maryland's, not Maryland, Rutgers' offense is extremely fun to watch. Between Raymond, between the receivers, between Kaliak-Manis, the problem lies in their defense. And they've got to figure something out. This is back-to-back years for Shiano and his defense.
Mm-hmm.
You got such talent out there. Kaliak-Manis near 400 yards again. Ian Strong continues to dominate. D.T. Sheffield, Duff, lesser numbers, but still big impacts. Duff only 3 for 59, but he got a touchdown for him. The problem is you went portaling hard to fix your defensive line. And what did we say? They needed to improve in sacks because they were a bottom feeder in the Big Ten. 1 sack, Ryan, in this game. They still cannot get pressure. And I get it's Damon Williams, and his escapability is off the charts.
Mm-hmm.
For all 190 pounds of him, but you got to find a way to get pressure on the quarterback. You're going to continue to lose games like this and be 0-3 in the Big Ten if you cannot generate pressure. But shout out Washington. Hey, Jonah Coleman for the first time this year wasn't the leading rusher for Washington. Only 14 carries, 44 yards. He did get the touchdown.
Yeah, I needed him to get 90 yards, and he did not.
But Desmond Roebuck, the freshman, man, Washington's got weapons everywhere. Denzel Boston, 598 and 2, but Roebuck, 4 receptions, 108 yards. He is coming on strong for them. Meanwhile, former Penn State alum, I don't know if he's an alum, but former wide receiver Amari Evans, 2 for 45. So Washington's finding it from all angles. Again, another slow start for them. When will this cost them? It cost them with Ohio State. They were kind of slow the whole game. When they go to Michigan, which is next week.
Oh, that 9 a.m. local time, too, for them.
You have to start quick. Michigan is reeling. You've got a chance to pounce on them. And you have the best big back in the Big Ten, arguably, in Jonah Coleman. Got dynamic playmaker in Damon Williams. who frustrated Michigan's stellar first-round players last year. You got a chance to jump on them while they're down, but you got to find a way to get after Bryce Underwood. But hell of a win for Washington. Rutgers still, unfortunately, waiting on that first Big Ten win.
Last one for us today, Minnesota 27, Purdue 20. I had an eye on this one in the late slot because I thought this had shootout potential, and this was just a weird game overall. Minnesota did a decent job. They kind of bottled up Ryan Brown in the pass game. He was only 21 of 40 for 204 yards. He was picked off twice. They also picked off Devin Mockapee on a trick play in the end zone that killed a great drive. But Purdue outgained Minnesota 456 to 262 in this game. There was a lot of missed opportunities by Purdue in this one. The aforementioned interception thrown by Mockabee in the end zone. After opening the second half with a 3-and-out, Minnesota let Purdue get down to the 8, but held them to a field goal. Missed a field goal, a 47-yard field goal early in the fourth. They had a turnover on downs. That would be Purdue at the 7 with 1:56 left. That kind of sealed this game away. Minnesota is the only team on Purdue's schedule this year that has not been able to run on them. They had Darius Taylor at 14 carries for 32 yards, and then Drake Lindsey had 4 carries for -2 yards, and that was all they tried to run in this one. They aired the ball out. Drake Lindsey had 45 pass attempts in this one. He completed 21 for 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Overall, though, man, good job by that Minnesota defense to kind of bend but not break when they kind of got outplayed in this one.
What we said last week when they played Ohio State is they don't really have threats out wide. Darius Taylor, your leading receiver in this game as well. 6 receptions, 67 yards. That's going to be a problem fast forwarding to this Friday night when Nebraska and Minnesota play. Nebraska is really good against the pass. I know Malik Washington had the best day against Nebraska all year, but you've got to find something. Because if you're just going to do the Darius Taylor leading rush and leading receiving game, Minnesota's going to be in trouble. Again, Purdue's 0-3 in the Big Ten, but they're competitive every week. They didn't do this last year. They just get their shit canned every single week, and they're hanging around. I told you on Thursday that I had an inkling that Purdue might pull this upset, and it damn near looked like it heading into the fourth quarter. But I did tell you all to take Purdue plus 7.5. So if you did, you won your bet. Because I took them plus 7.5, I believe, in our battle bets. Because I felt very confident that Purdue was going to hang around in this game because Minnesota just got, I don't even know what the proper term is when they played Ohio State last week or 2 weeks ago.
Hey, can I tell you something funny about battle bets?
What's that?
I put fake money on both Northwestern and Pitt to win outright.
And you got it.
And because of that, I kicked the shit out of everyone in the league this week. Good for me.
Nice. Yeah, you took some big shots for that. I don't know, man. I'm excited for the future of Purdue, just the fact that they're competitive in Minnesota. I'm still kind of worried, Ryan. I don't know so much about their defense. It's not the defenses that we're used to.
No.
From them, and I get it. That happens, and something has to break at some point. You are not going to just continually have success after success after success when you lose your defensive coordinator every year. Something has to eventually not work for you, and maybe it's this year. Coy Parrots doesn't feel like he's having the large of an impact that he did. He did have a touchdown in this game.
Yeah, that felt. He had the pick in this one. That I wonder if that's just they're trying to do so much with him on offense and defense and special teams that it might be a little too much.
Yep, he's gonna look great in an Ohio State uniform next year. Just saying. But hell of a week, man. What a week of football. That is going to be really hard to follow with next week's games. And I don't think we quite have the lineup, even just across college football. You know, Missouri and Alabama was a great game. Auburn, Georgia was great. Tennessee, Arkansas was great. I believe Arizona State and Utah were good, even though Sam Leavitt decided to sit out for this game.
Clinton, I hate to tell you, but this week's going to be another banger.
Wonderful.
We have Friday night, Louisville at Miami and Nebraska at Minnesota. Those are going to be great games.
Absolutely.
Saturday, the morning slate, LSU at Vandy. We have Georgia Tech at Duke. two 3-0 ACC teams.
wow,
You
yeah.
have Oklahoma trying to rebound at South Carolina. You have Texas A&M at Arkansas. Ole Miss is at Georgia. Texas Tech at Arizona State. We got Tennessee, Alabama, USC, Notre Dame, Missouri, Auburn. We have the Holy War, Utah, BYU. It's a loaded slate, man.
Well,
That
I
is a
guess I know what I'm
loaded
doing again on
slate.
Saturday. Just sitting my happy ass on the couch.
Yeah, I'm gonna be at my friend's house. I already told him. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. The Notre Dame game's at 7:30. You're gonna see a side of me that you have never seen before.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's the joys of college football, right? And especially, buddies and I were talking about this. We were talking about whether we liked NFL or college more. And my answer was obviously college, but they said their answers used to be NFL. And now that, obviously, because of the changes in college football, as much as we like it or don't like it, games are a lot more competitive now.
Mm-hmm.
When 5 stars who aren't playing or 4 stars who aren't playing go play for the other teams in your conferences, and they make these games competitive and they pull upsets.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago, Nico Iamaleava would have never left Tennessee and then went to UCLA. And he's there now, and he's having a huge impact in the last 2 games. So college football's fun, man. I agree when I see some tweets, it might be in the best place it's ever been from the standpoint of competitiveness in games. There's still a lot in our sport that we need to clean up. But as far as competitiveness, every week it's there. And this was another stellar example of that.
Well, 4 years ago in college football, you'd have a guy like Jaron Keave Sagapulatele sitting the bench at Oregon for 3 years before he gets his chance, and now he's tearing it up at Cal
Yeah.
because he can go play there, and if
now
they
he
don't
might
give
be
him
able
enough
to
money,
leave.
he can just transfer there after.
You know what you get to
Morgante.
do then? You get to go play for 1 year instead of sitting in Oregon,
Mhm.
show your talent, and now someone walks in next year with a really nice offer, or in 2 years, and you can go compete for a championship.
It's very European soccer.
Yeah.
Where you got, Wrexham FC, or I guess maybe that's not the best example, where you got like Wimbledon FC has a stud homegrown talent, and then Manchester United comes along and is like, hey,
Villages him.
that's a nice player you got there. We'll give you 40 million pounds for him.
Yep. See you later.
I wonder
Thanks
if
for
we
your
ever
time
get
and
to a
effort.
point in college football where there's going to be like rev share money that like comes out of schools' budgets if they get a transfer from a lower school or something like that. I don't know. Probably not, but
We're just
that'd
going
be
to start
interesting.
trading players is what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, I
We'll
don't
trade
think
you
can-
our 2 3-stars for your 5-star quarterback.
Well, Clinton, when there's the Super League and this isn't affiliated with NCAA anymore, then you can get that, but you cannot trade somebody from their major at school X and say,
Yeah.
guess what, buddy, you're now going to BYU where they don't have your major because
These
we,
2 guys
we-
have
we-
chemistry and mechanical engineering degrees. You can get them, but we're going to take 5-star in his underwater basket weaving
yeah,
degree.
they got no trade clauses because your credits will not transfer to this program.
Yep.
That's it for us tonight. We will be Tuesday this week because I have hockey tomorrow night. We're going to go a little bit early, but you guys know where to find us. Twitter. We go live on Twitter now, so you don't have to find us on YouTube. Though you can't find us on YouTube. I guess you can comment on the show on YouTube. I don't think you can do that on Twitter. But yeah, find us on Twitter. Find us on YouTube at ITPCFB. Join the Battle Blitz League. Yada, yada, yada. Subscribe to the podcast feed. Cool. I don't know what we're talking about Tuesday, but we'll figure it out. We'll talk to you guys later. Okay, bye.
See ya.